Are you ready, John?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of that in this movie going on. Welcome to my review of John Wick 4. Thank you for coming, and let's get to it. Overall, this movie was very interesting, and I know people have gassed this movie up and they're giving it straight 10s, but before we get there, let's talk about some of the details, okay? Well, let's start with story. The story, I think, personally, was okay. I don't think it was above average. I don't think it was better than maybe the other John Wick films. Maybe I feel like ranking wise, it's hard for me to rank 2 and 3. 2 was great overall, but story wise, I think it has a lot of stuff going on, a lot of character setup for other characters, spin-off movies that they're possibly setting up in this movie, which I feel like might have taken away from John personally. And I know some of the characters are great, but I don't know how to feel about that, and I don't know. Honestly, I had to really think about this movie when I was watching it. If you haven't seen it, I actually saw Ben Shapiro's review over it, and I actually think that was pretty accurate of how I feel about it. And but I don't hate it too much. The action of this movie was great. No doubt. Every action scene is great. It's well choreographed. There's tons of it, and that's what you're coming for a John Wick movie. So if you know what you're coming for, and you're coming for a John Wick movie where it's just going to be fun, a lot of action, the story's not too much of prevalent, you'll really enjoy this movie. The acting, I don't think it was a big problem. You do kind of see Keanu Reeves is looking a bit older. The other characters are really nice. The movie acting throughout is the same exact the way it's been for the other John Wick movies. Choreography was amazing. Like I said, every single action scene is perfect, I think. Certain things that I might mention in the spoiler review where I don't really want to spoil anything for you guys here. The story is very simple. John's going to... Actually, I don't want to spoil it, because if I think about it, like I said, I watched this movie with a few of my friends. They watched 1, 2, and 3, and I actually watched it before them. And before, what they said, like, what they expected from this movie was actually pretty different. They expected a few things, and I expected a few things, and what was shown was actually a little bit different from both of ours. So I actually won't say too much about the story. And I know you may have seen the trailers and stuff. You know, he goes to Japan. You know, he's gonna have a lot of action scenes there. You know, he's trying to, Bill Skarsgård is the villain of the movie, and he does a really good job. He's a certain type of character. He's the magnificent, you can say, character where he's trying to be all posh, and he lives up to it, and it's a very interesting thing. My only problem with this movie is world building. And I know people might disagree with me here, and this is where it becomes a controversial take. I feel like this movie lost a point for me because they're actually world building for a bunch of other characters while they're doing this movie. And I know it's a John Wick movie, and they do show him and make him cool. He's John Wick the legend in this movie. That's really important. But the side characters are shown more of a bit more characters. They show you it's sequel baiting or spin-off baiting based on how you feel based on certain characters. So that kind of took it away from me, because John's character, I feel like his motivation wasn't fleshed out enough to where the movie ends, where I was like, is this what they were really going with? Especially after I saw 1, 2, and 3 again. So I don't know. Otherwise, the action, I feel like if you're coming for that, like I said, you're gonna be super happy. It's extra long scenes. You do not notice the runtime. Maybe a little bit when you watch a scene, you're like, oh god, this is still going on. You're like, damn, they really are showing you what you want to see. So, which is great. So overall, I'm gonna give this movie a 8 out of 10. I know it might be a bit low compared to other reviews, but I think there's certain things I don't want to say or I'll mention in the spoiler review where I can tell you why I feel that way. But I think the action is great. Acting is great. Story is what took it away from me, but an 8 out of 10 is what's going to get, and I'll see you guys in the spoiler review. Thank you. Welcome to the spoiler review, guys, and John dies. Damn. R.I.P. That's what kind of really bothered me, because I was watching 1, 2, and 3 again, and the way the setup was and the way certain characters were, it didn't live up to it. Because Winston is throughout the movies mentioning consequences, and he's the one character that throughout this movie technically faced no consequences. Even though he fought in 1, 2, and 3, he ends where he starts. Even though he's done the most, he played John and everything, but that bothered me, honestly. And then with Lauren Fishburne's character, the Bowery King, I thought he was going after the high table. He kind of just said, okay, John wants his freedom, sure. That's my only problem. Like, I was watching the movie and I was just like, it's not the same, or like the story, the way it was set up or it was going, didn't live up to what I expected. Maybe I expected too much, but I think like the way the third movie ended, John was gonna go after the high table, and I know he wants his freedom, but you have the side character of the Bowery King leading him on. You have Winston who betrayed him, and it all kind of like fell through. It was just like, oh no, he just wants his freedom at the end of this movie. And like I said, I watched Ben Shapiro's review, and I actually agreed with a lot of his stuff. I enjoy Jeremy John's reviews, also Angry Joe. My channel, one day, hopefully, you guys will get it if you guys like me enough. But I agree with everybody, but I think Ben Shapiro was right about the story. The consequences, action of this whole movie was kind of gone. I think John not fighting the high table was really annoying, because I think I agree, he could have done the duel at the end of the second movie, actually. If Winston knew about it, he was in with the Russian mob, and he was in. So I feel like that's the only thing that really took it away from me. I feel like this movie was actually going to be 4 and 5, and it could have been better. So I'm actually hoping he didn't die, because I think it's kind of lackluster for John just to die for his freedom. I know he saves Kane, but the build-up, the story-wise, I don't think it connected too well with 1 through 3. Because, like, everything that's building up to, they kind of switched up on it. They went back to roots and said, we're going to show you Kane. Well, I think it was great. He was a great character. It's just that it's like, I kind of care more about John Wick. I know this guy's supposed to be as cool as him. He definitely has some cool action scenes, but I don't know about it, honestly. We're talking about other characters in Japan. I really enjoyed his friend. I think that was really interesting. But then you notice, why did he come to Japan? His friend was like, oh, kill as many as you can. And then John's like, yeah, my freedom. So that was kind of useless. That's my only problem with this movie. There were a lot of things that were done that ended up feeling useless. If you're watching all 3 movies, a lot of the plot points, it was just like, oh, okay, so all those plot points you can ignore for this movie, where John's going to end up dying for his freedom and for Kane. But it's like, I feel like they could have done a lot more justice for John's character himself. That's why I don't know how to feel about it, because that's why I waited for this review, because I watched a few other people's reviews. But watching 1, 2, and 3 again, I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of setup, but it should have been a John Wick movie. Him doing the impossible task of destroying the high table. They mentioned him shaking it up, but I don't know if it really lived up to that. Thing is, like I said, there's a lot of plot points where I feel like connected throughout the movies didn't hit, so that's the only reason it took it down for me. I kind of hope John's still alive, but if he passed, I understand also, because the thing is, man had he had the legend factor. He took so many beatings that were impossible, and he hasn't taken in other movies. The fall, everything, and then it was like he just got up. Like, him falling at the end through the stairs, everybody was just laughing at that point, because it was like any normal person couldn't do it. But why? Because it's John Wick. So that's why I think him dying was justified at the end. Also, because the way the movie showed him off was like, this is him doing the impossible already, of surviving all of this. But I wish it would have been more of the plot point of him surviving it and doing the impossible again. So that's why I kind of lowered my standards a little. That's why I gave it an 8 out of 10, honestly. What do you guys think about it? Maybe I'm taking it a bit too harsh, but I enjoyed it. I really did. I just hope the other characters, I enjoyed them, but I feel like the sequel baiting, or the spin-off baiting now, essentially, kind of took away from it. So, I thought it was a great movie. I definitely stick to my 8 out of 10. I would definitely buy this on Blu-ray. Tell me what you guys think. Thank you for the one guy watching. Like, follow, and subscribe.
No!